Welcome back to the program. This is FootPrint, and now you know who we are talking about. Is Mr. Kojo Yankah. Sir, good to have you.
It's my pleasure. Nice seeing you too.
It's we've been meaning to catch up with you, but you know you're a man of many parts, and thanks for allowing us into your beautiful home. Thank you. So is you know, I was telling you, it feels heavy on my lips when I say Mr. Kojo Yankah. It feels easier to refer to you as Dr. Kojo Yankah. Seeing that you've walked the path and you've ticked all the boxes. So anyway, but it's good to have you, sir.
It's my pleasure. How are you doing? Oh, I'm feeling so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The Yankah name is powerful.
Well, you need to earn it.
No, you've gone beyond earning it, man. Because the Kojo Yankah and then your brother, who was very, very popular through the pen in most parts of the 80s and 90s, right? With his column Woes of a Patriot, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, and he's another candidate for this program. Good to have you.
Yes, indeed. It's my pleasure to also meet you and have this conversation.
So how do you spend your time these days?
Oh, I'm writing, I'm reading, I am working on establishing the Pan-African
Museum, the Heritage Museum
at Winnipeg Junction. So I'm in contact with the rest of the world every moment, because I'm dealing with people in Canada, in Colombia, in Dominican Republic.
I mean, this program is not about that, but let me ask, how are you funding this impossible project?
Yeah, we are doing fundraising for donations, but at some point we also have a plan. We are getting offers for equity
collaboration
from some organizations, and we are considering all that.
All right.
It's part of our program to use all means available to complete it by December 2024.
Super. God bless you. I mean, at your age, and at his age I'm talking about is in the late 70s, heading towards 80.
Oh, let's be generous. I celebrated my 77th birthday
Here we go.
Only a couple of weeks ago.
August it was.
August 16th.
All right, man.
Yes.
77.
Yeah.
Now, at age 77, the man is not saying that he's going to do government supplies so that he will make more money. He's thinking about a legacy, building something that he as a human being may not necessarily benefit directly. But this is the honorable journey that we are celebrating today. Mr. Kojo Yankah, God bless you.
Thank you.
Now tell me, again, you have, from my little observation, you have charted a pathway which is not, I don't know whether this is too political to say, but you don't find too many fancies being this aggressive. I mean, I'm part fancy, so I can say this. And I'm talking about aggressive in the noble sense of accomplishing one thing after another without hurting, without making noise and all that. Now, where have you come from? Where do you come from yourself?
Yeah, this is what we call progressive. When you want to use the word progressive and you want to be known as a progressive, you keep thinking ahead, in my opinion. You know, I grew up in a humble family in the Agona district because my father was a school teacher. All five of us brothers.
That's Agona near
Swedro. And we didn't stay there, but we use it as our base because our mother comes from there. Because our father was teaching in many, transferring from one town to another, even in the eastern region,
I see.
Yankah and all. and back to Winneba, where from there I did the common entrance and went to Adisada College.
So early childhood, you were all over the place.
I was all over the place.
You remember some of the places by name?
Oh, Agona, Bobikuma.
Bobikuma, it used to be a main road then.
It used to be. It used to be.
Towards Jumaku to Cape Coast.
Jumaku to Cape Coast. I think it was also transferred to, as I said, Asamankasi in the eastern region.
Proper.
In the eastern region.
Yeah, but that was a big town then.
I came at Chelsea. Also it was a railway town, so it was a busy town. And then, and then Winneba.
Wow. And this was all before you went to secondary school?
Before I went to secondary school.
So you were in Winneba when secondary school,
1959 we did the common entrance.
Wow.
2 years after Ghana's independence.
That must be exciting. And you ended up in Adisada College. Why didn't you go to Winneba Secondary School then?
No. Incidentally, those were the days where meaning as young students, you really didn't have a choice, except that I had some students from Adisada who were living around our house.
So the influence
was strong. And then our teachers wanted the best students to go to the best schools, kind of. In Form 2, to be honest, I passed to Achimota, and my father said I was too short and little. I wept because I thought I was losing an opportunity, but he was saying, "Oh, you are too small to be sent into a boarding school."
Alone,
and because those were the days, if you came first in primary school or middle school, you had to stand on a table for people to see you, so I think he didn't, it was his choice. And I don't know why I had to be obedient and respect it. So he said, so wait till you get to Form 3. So Form 3 I passed again, and my teacher this time said, okay, you go to Adisada. This is because those old boys around our house in Winneba were, convincing me, convincing my father, let him go to Adisada. I didn't know what Adisada was, but in our minds it was one of the top schools. Those days you could only count on your fingertips. So I chose Adisada the next time and I passed it. And those were the days where the headmaster came all the way to Winneba to do interviews. I mean, we've gone through so much. The headmaster had to come through Winneba area, so all those who passed in the area had to assemble at Winneba, Swedro, whole area, and the headmaster himself coming with one of the staff of the school to come and do the interviews. So he came and did the interviews, and within 2 weeks we got admission letters. So it was exciting then.
Wow. But how many were you, siblings? In
5.
total? 5.
5 boys, and then 2 girls. The girls passed, but 5 of us are still alive.
Wow. So you come first?
I come first. There's a Kofi who returned to Ghana a few years back because he went to the US and worked in some banks, and he's back. He's into marketing. We were together in doing the Uhuru magazine, and he took over when he came from the US. Kwesi comes third. He's Mensa, and then there's Anan. Anan just retired from SNIT, as a PR officer. And then we have Kweku, who decided to when he finished school, decided to go into farming, and he's.
That's interesting. So,
Yes.
life in at the Saddle College, how was it like? Because you're still very small.
Indeed, I was. Now, those were the early days. I would say one of the early days of Kwame Nkrumah's regime, where you felt it. Because the education system was changing.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but what he did was to establish the Young Pioneer Movement, and some of us registered in it, in the Young Pioneer Movement. And some of the lecturers, tutors didn't like it, because, see, there was that idea that Kwame Nkrumah was making himself a savior and this, and even the whites didn't like the personalization of Kwame Nkrumah. But more interesting, those were the days in Adisada was known to be a classics school. So we learned Latin, we learned some Greek in the first year, we learned French, and then, of course, English, music. Music was even compulsory, the theory, for 3 years. Adisada had the first jazz band in Ghana. Yes.
So that music where they do tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone.
So everybody had to study the theory of music.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to continue after Form 3, you took it as a subject.
Yeah.
And also because Adisada wanted to train an all-round student, sports, cricket, hockey, soccer, athletic, you had to get involved in it. It was compulsory, so I played soccer for my house.
Oh, for your house?
Yes.
Oh, then you were good.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you're not sure?
No, soccer I was good. I played hockey as, because we had to learn hockey. I played cricket, but I didn't go into tournaments. There were bigger boys who enjoyed the cricket and took it further. But the important thing was that it was available for you to get involved. So while you're learning all the classics, you also had to do the sports. And that all-round thing is missing now.
It's missing.
I'm not saying we should bring it back, but I'm saying it helps.
Why not? We should.
It helps. It helps. It helps to make you an all-rounder.
That's correct. That's correct.
You understood a few things because of the kind of basic thing you had learned. For example, Latin. I mean, of course, Greek, tough, Latin, but a lot of words have Latin background. So it helps you to understand some words easier if you know have a background of Latin. And so it's one of the subjects that was killed along the line.
World over, actually.
But
But tell me, at the Saddle College, how would you describe the geography of at the Saddle College back then?
The geography was, we had the Katanga, we say Katanga, and we had those on the hill and those in the valley.
Down there,
And every morning you had to take the 83 steps down there for sports. And you walk back. It kind of, your exercises were there. But we had that, I won't call it rivalry, but those down there, they enjoyed it. We up there also enjoyed it, except that they thought they were in Katanga and we were in, those days in Congo. You had to divide between Katanga and Brazzaville and so on. And they came up there for dining every day, so they had to also climb up, come and eat, and go back and that kind of thing. But we had a common, park. I mean, the biggest park in Cape Coast now, it's used for almost everything.
Yeah.
And all the inter-college sports, in Cape Coast were held, most of them were held in Adisada. And there was a certain spirit of, a very vibrant spirit of wanting to excel, which I think was part of my growth, because we had this motto, either the first or with the first. So it really energized you to want to excel in everything. I think it helped a lot.
So we'll talk about this athletics and Cape Coast and athletics, but your generation of Adisco people, do you remember some of them actively, maybe your mates and the people within your generation in public life that you can talk about?
Oh, in public life, I mean, I can. One senior.
It's a whole compendium.
We have a range. Some went into the military, so when you talk about Free Fire and others.
They were your seniors?
Yeah, they were my seniors.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's
then
General Free Fire, you mean?
General Free Fire. And then, of course, those who went into law, a lot of Chief Justice Aqua, Chief Justice Recon, a whole lot went into the
legal
judiciary.
Yeah.
Parliament came much later, but those who were ahead of me again into Kwame Nkrumah's government, Bedema, Botio, they were like our role models.
They all went to Adisco?
They all went to Adisco.
Wow.
Yeah, so we saw them as role models we were looking up to. And but in our own generation, in our kind of group, I had some brigadier generals, like the Brigadier General Baden.
General Baden.
He recently
he just retired
from customs. He was made, even for a short time, a member, Commissioner General of Customs.
Yeah.
And also a member of the Council of State.
Yeah. He's still alive, right?
He's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
General Baden, we salute.
Yes. Sam Jonah was behind me 1 or 2 years.
Wow.
Behind me.
Uncle Sam.
I have the speakers, Citi.
Bejina Citi Hughes.
Citi Hughes was 1 year ahead of me.
Wow.
We had.
So you had, it's like the whole community grew together into adult life. And so you knew one another. You were so connected.
Yes. I mean, from there, because, and again, that was part of the advantages of the boarding system.
That's correct.
You met in dining hall together. You met on the sports hall together, in the sports fields. You met in, there were a number of societies. I joined the Drama Society. I joined the Writers Club. I joined, I talked about the debating, writers, drama. I joined all of them. So most of the skills that I really had later were founded on those experiences. And having been the drama group, and I joined a bigger group that was formed by Dr. Abdallah, Legon 7, when I came to the university, I moved straight into a drama group.
Wow.
Called...
that's your personality, so...
Yeah.
So you did 1 to 7 in Adisco?
Yeah, 7 years.
Wow. And back in the day, how was Interco like? Our school athletics in Cape Coast is such a big deal.
It was. I mean, that was when, even if you are not running yourself, you got so involved emotionally because your school...
Which were the schools involved? And this is 60 to 65, 66,
And the schools that really came up, surprisingly, Apam Secondary School, the closest at the time to start with was Fatipim, and then Augustine's came a little late, but Apam shot up from nowhere. And then we had some school. Winnipeg Secondary was late. That's where my brother Casey went.
Okay. Well, I went to Swedu Secondary School, so
close by.
It's just next door.
Next door. So you had the traditional old schools doing very well. Then surprisingly, some of the new schools from the GET schools, Ghana Education Trust School, started coming through and giving us a hard time because before they came in, we thought we were the best, and that kind of thing. But it was very competitive.
Did you have the likes of Commander College and those?
Commander came up, and it's what you remember from there was the high level of competition.
Yeah,
I mean it's
and the discipline.
Every school took it seriously, and of course there was discipline. Occasionally there was some indiscipline because at the Saddle, when they lost, they started throwing stones at those who were beating them and so on. That was a terrible sight.
But you were a boys' school, as we call it.
Yeah, we were a boys' school.
It was. I'm told that it was very exciting with the hope of meeting the people from the other schools like Holy Child and Wesley Girls.
I mean, that one is true. I met my first wife at Intercore. She was at Wesley Girls.
Wow.
And so she came and performed in the 200 and 400 meters. Then the first time and came back a second time and she was playing hockey. I said, this lady.
You took a judicial notice.
A judicial notice.
Wow.
And I also found out that, she was from the area. So I said, okay, why don't I make some approaches?
Yes.
And you had to be bold those days. You took tips from those who had been taking the lead. And,
those days there was no social media.
No social media.
Not even phone.
And you know the distance between Adisadal and Wesley Girls. If you wanted to show that kind of gallantry, then you would want to walk all the way to Wesley Girls.
By the main road?
Yes, through Sudu all the way, to Wesley Girls. Go and you are sweating and you had to hold your neck, wipe your neck before you
show up.
But it showed the level of seriousness that you had.
So basically, you have good memories of your time spent in Adisadel College.
I do, because I ended up as a prefect, a library prefect, because I suspect that the authorities saw me quite regularly in the library.
But your personality looks like either a library prefect or chapel prefect. Chapel prefect or library prefect, or maybe school prefect, head boy or something.
I was a library prefect.
Super.
I spent more time in the library because I liked research. I liked reading. So long before, and these authorities were looking at
all these things,
all those who were to be, and those were the times we're not voting for prefects, but you were selected.
Oh yeah. But
yes.
do you remember any notorious names? I'm not notorious, not in a negative sense. People very popular. Back in the day.
Every Adisadel student, every old boy has a nickname, because you are known more by the nickname, than by your real name.
That's correct.
So we had Ampim, our mate. He passed a few.
That was 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, during the COVID time.
During the COVID time, it was called Chanapozo.
Thank you.
Chanapozo.
But he loved life, man.
Yeah, and he took that name when he went to America, wanted to, took a name after some of the celebrities.
Yeah.
So we called him, even long before.
Yeah.
See, he copied the name in secondary school long before he ever saw America.
He modeled it,
He
man.
modeled it.
Full of energy.
Energy.
Man. Yeah.
And, Hughes, who became speaker, he was a high jumper, but his nickname was Barrister.
Barrister.
He had wanted to be a barrister long ago.
Wow.
So when he ended up as a lawyer and then to become a speaker, he said, well, still we call him Barrister.
Oh, that. That's interesting. I mean.
So.
Yeah. So what question we ask? So if we had to reverse the clock and you had to make a choice for a secondary school.
Yes.
Under the same circumstances. Would you choose Achimota now?
No.
Adisco people are watching.
I will choose Adisco first choice, second choice, third choice.
Do you remember the anthem?
Adsada?
Yeah. The school
Up Santa
anthem.
Claus. We have Up Santa Claus.
Play up Santa Claus. Yeah. No, me do.
Play the hair game. Nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name. So it had a certain spirit, dynamism.
I'm telling you.
I don't see in my other mates from other schools, I must confess.
Well,
I had friends in Achimota and in Fransipim, Augustins, Apsu. But that kind of spirit, at this school, even 3 people meet in a church, they will sing the school odes.
They all do it.
Yes.
I mean, they all do it now.
They all do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether you are cultured or nurtured, you are immersed into the culture. It
you
stays go to
with
Form
you.
1 and the Nino's night is happening. You are wondering, is this what I'm going to go through? And by the time you're in Form 3, you are now homoing people.
I tell you.
Wow. That's good. So 7 years, and then from there, university.
University.
But at that time, 67, 68, thereabouts, right?
I had a break.
Okay.
Those days, I should have gone straight into the university, but I got my eyes were on
Teaching?
a scholarship.
Or to travel, okay.
To Czechoslovakia, those days, and then the coup d'etat happened. So I lost that chance, and those were the days, if you lost that chance, and the next year where I could have gone into the university, they increased the
qualification marks
to enter. Wow. So I needed to improve on one subject.
Must be maths.
No, it was history.
Oh, okay.
See, maths, O-level, I wasn't good at all, but I didn't take it to sixth form.
Yeah.
No, my sixth form was history, English, and social science. So I had to do...
Oh, you used to do social science in sixth form back then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I opted for economics.
Okay.
Yes, it was economics I had to redo.
Yeah, economics, yeah.
I was not very strong in maths. Even though I bought a new math set for Form 5, it did not inspire me to do very well.
Mathematical sets,
so,
man.
a mathematical set. So I was more of the arts student, but I had to improve my economics.
Wow.
Because I did it, and then, so I used that period to teach.
Right.
Preman Esikuma Secondary School.
Bus.
Which was also a good experience because then I learned about teaching.
So which years would you be talking about teaching and bus?
67, 68.
Whoa. That was early days, man.
Yes.
But there was no light there.
No, those were the foundation days of the school. They had generator and that kind of thing. It was a new school.
They had a generator as a kid. They had a generator that sounded like a corn milling machine.
A train station.
Yeah, man. Generator could shout as if they just caught a thief, man.
True. Mr. Comey, I remember him, the first headmaster. Oh, he sweated. But it was a good experience. Because, again, even there, I met one Mr. Nuno. May he rest in peace. He passed. He was fantastic. If he were alive, I would always go to him to thank him. You know, he wasn't an adversarial old boy. He was an infantile old boy. But what was good about him, he taught this thing about positivism. This was extracurricular.
Okay.
So I registered for it.
As a teacher?
Yes.
And this you are talking about Bremen Sikuma when you were teaching?
And he himself
was also a teacher.
Senior. He had taught there for about 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But he had that thing. I got interested in talking to him personally. And he liked reading books about how to do positive thinking, positive about everything, positive about this. So he became kind of a personal
role model,
mentor. So I jumped into reading a lot of his books, you know, which I found very useful in life.
Right.
Because we are tempted to sometimes dwell too much on the negatives.
That's correct.
But not Kwesi Nunu. Kwesi Nunu was like, oh, Kojo Menso. No, this thing, think positive.
Correct.
Do this, do that. And so in terms of even what you do in the next 10 years, I remember Mr. Kwesi Nunu asking me.
Wow.
He himself said he loved teaching. He wants to stay in teaching forever.
Yeah.
Because he was good communicator, good personality. He had time for everybody. And when he likes you like he liked me, he gave me attention that I wondered what was he,
looking for,
looking for in me. But he also saw that I had a gift, and he had to push me to believe that, listen, if there's anything that you want to do, go ahead and do it. And he even said, oh, don't worry that you didn't go directly to the university. I remember him clearly. That, oh, you will catch up and overtake a lot of your mates if you take the positive line. I remember him so clearly.
So the name is Mr. Kwesi Nunu.
Kwesi Nunu. He passed
right.
From Cape Coast.
One of the Fanti Nunus.
One of the Fanti Nunus. I miss him so much.
Right. Okay, so if you are listening or watching, we are having a chat with Mr. Kojo Yankah. Yes, Mr. Kojo Yankah, you heard me right. From his humble days in Winneba through Adisadel College, and then post-secondary decided to teach before furthering his education. If you just join us, the program is FootPrints. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at his pathway to tertiary education and why he chose the schools he chose. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is FootPrint, and on this edition I am having a chat with Mr. Kojo Yankah. Forgive me, I may end up with Dr. Professor, and by the time we are through with his FootPrint, you know why I get confused. But simply Kojo Yankah here with me, and so thank you again. So now we are done with Bremen Esikuma Secondary School. That's BAS. So you're there for how many years? 2 years. Well, that's 2 years is enough to find your way around, to understand the socio-cultural makeup of the place. And it's not so far from Duakwa.
No, it's
technically not too far. Okay. And then you had done, is it a chance or a Chimswedru?
Achase.
which is also not too far.
Yeah, Eastern region.
Yeah, that side.
In the bend there.
Oh, man. So, university. You fancy man, you could have gone to University of Cape Coast then. It had only just started, right?
Yeah. Now that you talk about University of Cape Coast, most people do not know this. It was founded as a university for science education.
Oh, I see.
The first principal was called Professor Bakum. This story is missing from the books, and I deeply regret it.
University
of Science Education.
Okay, as in teaching of
science.
Okay.
This is something that we have missed talking about, because Kwame Nkrumah, the idea of setting up the university was to train science teachers. Science teachers. You see, he had the vision of industrialization, had a vision of Ghana going scientific. So all teachers that Cape Coast University was to produce were to be science teachers.
Wow.
For all schools, primary, secondary, and everywhere.
Okay.
So I had a choice to do the science or to go to the University of Ghana. So Cape Coast University was just a science education.
Right.
And as I'm saying, the first principal was called Bakum, was an Egyptian engineer.
Wow.
And, soon, and the thing about Cape Coast University was that if you came out of the Cape Coast University, because you had done science education, your salary range was higher than the one who had gone to Legon.
Okay.
The idea was to encourage more people to train as science teachers.
That was visionary.
This is missing in our history.
We killed it, man.
We've killed it. Because imagine that if Cape Coast University produced even 200 science teachers every year from 1962 or 63, I mean, this country, with information age, with technology age, we would have gone far, because Kumasi was established as a university of science and technology to train the technicians, but you needed the teachers, which Cape Coast University did. So when Nkrumah was overthrown, we changed everything. And now that kind of history is even missing. Check Google and you may not find it. But there are students, I don't know of any, but I remember a few students in the way back who chose Cape Coast University and came out as science teachers. But then, now you can see that Cape Coast does every course.
Well, survival, man.
Yes.
They have to survive, because you have to raise your own money and,
Yeah, but the point is that if we had those specialist universities, but I didn't choose Cape Coast because I didn't want to be a science teacher. Right, my orientation.
But, truth be told, I think Nkrumah had a very solid picture of the desired future state of Ghana.
There's no doubt about it.
Everything he did or attempted doing with reference to building Ghana would suggest that they were well thought through.
Oh, clearly. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Science, and if you look at Legon here in Accra, Legon stretches all the way to the atomic energy through the CSIR in East Legon, were all one plot. University of Ghana plot ends. It ends really with CSIR in East Legon.
Yeah, but the land has been bastardized.
Yeah, because the whole area was supposed to be a research-based university.
Wow.
With agriculture, science, technology, everything, with atomic energy, all huge research area. So clearly he had that kind of foresight for Ghana. And we are now trying to pick up the pieces. But the
Are
point...
I am not so sure about the universities and the way we have gone in the last 15 years, 20 years. I am not so sure. I mean, I'm not an academic, but I'm not so sure. As a media person, I think we've done more evil to ourselves with what we could have done with our tertiary education.
That I agree with you.
And my pet peeve is what I call the universitization of the polytechnics.
Yeah.
Where polytechnics that are supposed to be the bedrock of industry have been given away to commercialization. So everybody should kind of do administration in polytechnic, everything. And then we've lost out on the technician base of the economy.
Badly.
So buy a new car, give yourself 2 years. It cannot be repaired because there are no technicians.
True.
Anyway,
no,
that's for another. So you ended up going to University of Ghana, Legon.
Right.
In which year was this?
69.
69. This was under which head of state?
69 must have. That was the year the Busia regime was overthrown from 66 to 69.
No, Busia
took
rather,
up
69
in 69. I'm sorry. He took up in 69 to 72.
13 January.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the period under him.
Oh, okay.
The military.
So that's when you were in university.
In the university.
Cool.
Because the military had just got National Liberation Council had just ended their term and handed over to democracy with Busia as the first.
I like this one. Now you know it's an Nkrumah is talking. But you mentioned the young pioneers in passing. And I'd like to delve into that a bit more because I have had conversations with people in your generation. And anytime the conversation tilts in that direction, they actually sit up with great passion to talk about the young pioneers. Please, let's use the next 5 minutes to educate us on what the young pioneers movement was all about and why you think it was a good thing.
Right. Let me put it this way. Here we were, having been brainwashed under a system of the British colonial system for a long time, the whole educational system. So Kwame Nkrumah coming to lead us to independence was very conscious that it wasn't just a flag change that we are going to change. We should change the system. That's why he brought Atta Louise, an economist. See how we can change the basic, the fundamentals of the economy. How would we add value to it? How would we start developing our own ability to manufacture, to produce? And along the line, you'll find out that I worked for Smith, I worked for Gehog. So I know exactly how those industries were all set up for a purpose to launch Ghana into putting value on their own people. In other words, you get the best out of your people and then let them drive in development. So he thought about the youth and said, you cannot leave the youth as they are. As for the adults, they may have made up their minds.
Yeah.
But reshape the minds of the youth. You cannot just leave them like that and
expect them to conform.
Expect them to change their minds and build. Look at 1958, the Ghana Institute of Journalism. He set it up basic. He said a new core of journalists who would help to liberate the minds of the people. He had a purpose. So everything had a purpose. So the youth orientation must change. And that's why he gave the Young Pioneer Movement a code. And we're reciting it like, love of country, unaffectedness.
So this Young Pioneer Movement was an association of young people,
right,
who were you had to apply to become a member, or you were co-opted into it?
You had to apply to become a member. You could.
From which age?
Oh, we had different categories of young pioneers. You had those from the primary school, those that could fit into the secondary school, but I fitted into the Adisada one.
Okay.
And interestingly, I remember a vivid quote from the Minister for Defense at the time, who was more or less the minister also in charge of young pioneers, Mr. Kofi Bako, Honorable Kofi Bako, Kofi Bako's father.
Right.
And we had, he came to Adisada one day for a parade of young pioneers, and he had heard that there were some Peace Corps staff, white guys who
the
were
American Peace Corps,
who were,
whispering
negatives about young pioneers. And I remember him saying, whether they are War Corps or Peace Corps, we shall crush them all. It was a youth movement in primary school. You could join that one. You could join the one in secondary school. And then, of course, in the university as well. It was a voluntary association. And don't forget, we had the Boy Scouts, the Girl Guides. They were all, associations.
There,
But this Kwame Nkrumah did not abolish the Boy Scouts.
So tell me, if you went for a typical Young Pioneers movement gathering, what were some of the exchanges? What were you told?
Right.
You pray?
No, we didn't pray. It was more of extra education.
It was not brainwashing, like you used the word?
You see, brainwashing in the sense that, rather I was saying cleaning our minds. See, brainwashing starts, I think it was, the whole purpose was to clean our minds of the colonial thinking. If you want to be independent, you need a new way of, today we are still talking about mental colonization, that we should get ourselves away from mental slavery. Because we think European, we do everything European, the African thing is still not there yet. And you cannot develop if you lose your culture. The Indians were colonized. Why are they so vibrant? They kept their culture. The Chinese decided to close their walls, close their doors, and build their own with a new, you can call it a brainwashing orientation. So you need that kind of orientation if you want to build a new society.
So you think the Young Pioneers movement
particularly with the Young Pioneers. So you start with the youth. As for the old ones, some have already made up their minds.
Yeah.
But the point is, the youth must be a new call, because if we keep saying the future is theirs, give them a new way of thinking. So love of country was basic. That's when you held the Ghana flag and you were doing something for your country. You felt good. You felt proud.
You could sing the national anthem and then weep.
Yeah, seriously.
Tears of joy.
Precisely.
These days, people sing the national anthem, cry. They want to end it quickly and go and do their own thing. In Ghana, when they say, let's have a 1 minute silence for this, 30 seconds, now people are started talking.
Already.
No patience left for anything.
But if we had continued, and you take off Kwame Nkrumah as a person, the code for young pioneers to love their country, to love their culture, to aim high, to be selfless in society. These are values that you need. And I must say that because we have lost a lot of it, that's also part of the reason we are in the mess that we are.
Yeah.
Because we lost it, and then
it's something that is an unseen feature that holds us together.
Precisely.
Which I think Kojo Acheampong later on tried.
He tried. He tried to revive it.
Yeah.
You know, you see that spirit. It's not something that you expect people to just take up. You need to teach it. Even culture has to be taught. So, in everything that you want your children to do, look, we do not realize it. You grow up following your father, like I did, with the Bible to church, and you have to go and learn that you are a sinner, and there you have. I mean, seriously, you haven't done anything wrong, but you learn from there that you are a sinner.
There is a concept of faith, so that's a different realm.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm talking about. It's not a different realm.
No, I'm saying that. I'm just saying there's a concept of faith, so it may not make sense to you necessarily. So that's fair enough.
Yes, I'm saying that when you go through all that, you do not realize that it is brainwashing.
Well, it's actually what it is.
It is.
It's how it's applied in everything.
Yeah. So it is that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's bad.
No. Again,
Yes,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
You need to get your mind
Very
clean,
important.
you know. And if you get into your mind, like some of us, love your country, love your culture, be selfless, be unaffected, don't feel proud, don't aim for excellence. These are values
In Ghana here?
in Ghana.
No, they don't do it. Ghanaians don't like this one. They want money today and top their money and shout on social media.
Right.
That's where we are now.
So if we had picked the value, if the values had run through, yes, some would slip by, but at least you will be, nudged a bit.
Now this makes sense because we were the younger people in the 70s trying to understand what Kojo Acheampong's government was trying to do with one nation, one people, one destiny.
Union government and all that.
Total manpower development and deployment.
It was a follow-up.
It was.
It was. And
you were supposed to recite it, energize yourself when you get to school.
And then the pledge. Where the pledge.
Yeah.
See, these are all ways of building a people together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you feel that you are... First, it doesn't make you feel inferior. And then your neighbor, you see your neighbor Ghanaian or any other African as part of you.
Wow.
That growth is important.
It is the Young Pioneer Movement. Is there a book on this Young Pioneer Movement thing?
Unfortunately, they are mentioned in a few books. It's in my 11...
Because I always get it referenced.
In bits and pieces.
Part of Young Pioneers. But what it means, I mean, at my age, I have no clue what it was really about. And those...
And we were marching, there were drills, there were military drills. This was 2 hours out of the classroom.
Wow.
Then... And you came back.
So you still have fond memories of your days there.
Yes.
Wow.
And see, it made you feel confident,
hopeful.
Yes.
There's hope. So you've been watching FootPrints with Mr. Kojo Yankah. Now you know how it all started and why he is, how come he is where he is. We'll be ending this one, but definitely we'll continue another time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Samuel Atamensa.